Welcome to the sleepover. I'm like, do these really do anything? He is just like whiny. We're in the rides of adaptations, y'all. We're just doing it. I don't get it. None whatsoever. I don't see it. That looks the best I've ever got it to look. Why are we doing this? We have a lot of fun activities planned in today's video, and throughout all of the different activities, we're going to be tackling the book topics that you guys sent in, and there may even be a few unpopular opinions thrown in there. So let's get to it. First and foremost, we're going to have a little girls trip on over to Ulta. I have a few things to pick up, and maybe we can find a few fun sleepover spa night related things, but I really just have to go there to get more face wash. Let's go there and answer a question in the car. I have arrived. I'm outside of Ulta. I thought that we could talk about our first bookish topic. This one is pretty appropriate because The Summer I Turned Pretty season 3 just released like a few weeks ago, like two and a half weeks ago, I don't know. We just had a Team Jeremiah. And here's the thing, it's unpopular in specifics with the book community that you see a lot of Team Jeremiah, because it's like, if you've read the books, I feel like there's a less probability that you would be Team Jeremiah. Not saying that nobody who's read the books is Team Jeremiah. However, I'm saying the probability of it, a little bit less likely. And here's the thing. No, never a day in my life. I'm not over here attacking anybody or saying that you are necessarily wrong. I don't like coming after people's opinion. However, never, ever have I ever been Team Jeremiah. He's bad enough in the books to me, like just as an unlikable character. Like, I don't even like Jeremiah as a character. In the show, to me, has made him so much worse. The whole entire situation, if you're keeping up with season 3 thus far, he is just like whiny and manipulative and gaslights. Like, I just feel like he's just always like so quick to pull the like, I'm not as good as Conrad, like he's just so freaking whiny. He's whiny and immature. He's making dumb decisions, like even just within a relationship, and I feel like the show makes him even more unlikable. And the show is a thing within itself. You guys know I get invested in The Summer I Turned Pretty. I both love the show and find it extremely cringy. Sometimes I have to like skip because I'm cringing so hard watching the show, and it's because like, when you watch interviews with these actors, they are Gen Z, and it's like they act naturally, but it's like the way that writers are writing Gen Z for the show is so unnatural and cringy. It's like they're like, this is the term that the Gen Z is going with, so this is what we're doing. In my opinion, Belly and Jeremiah, no chemistry. None whatsoever. I don't see it at all. I do not see their chemistry. No. I am Team Conrad all the way. Let's go into Ulta and let's pick up some things. Hello everybody, I am interrupting our sleepover to tell you about today's sponsor, which is none other than Squarespace. You guys know I talk about Squarespace all of the time on this channel. I'm here to tell you about them again. If you are wanting to build a website for any reason, Squarespace is the way to go. They make everything as easy as possible, which is just honestly the best thing when you are running your own website, and it can be very, very overwhelming, but it just doesn't have to be. Squarespace has so many different tools to make sure that your website is running to the best that it can. Squarespace offers so many different analytics for you to see how and what is working for your website. You can keep an eye on website traffic, where people are coming from, what keeps them coming back, and if you want to keep people coming back, Squarespace has email campaigns that they help you out with. They help you make a template of emails to send out to your subscribers of your website to keep that traffic flow coming in. And you can now actually sell content memberships on Squarespace. You decide if it's a one-time fee or if it's going to be like an annual fee. You can sell blogs, courses, videos, whatever it may be, which is just a new level of elevation for Squarespace. So if you guys are interested, head on over to squarespace.com, and when you guys are ready to launch, head on over to squarespace.com/DustySidwell to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Hello everybody. Welcome to the kitchen. We are entering our baking portion of today's video. I am making two different cookie recipes. Both of them are my family faves whenever I make them. I'm actually gonna have them linked down below. They're not like my cookie recipe, but they're cookie recipes that I make for any special occasion like holidays or something. So right now, as you guys may be able to hear, I have the butter browning. That's the whole entire thing with these chocolate chip cookies that we're gonna have together. We're doing our fun little baking portion of the sleepover, which usually in my experience happens at night. It is the summertime. It does not get dark until like 10 o'clock. I'm just making the dough for these right now. I put them for at least an hour in the freezer because it makes like the cookies when you bake them. Basically what that means is you put 3/4 a cup of butter on the stove and you just basically brown it. It smells so delicious. Like I love the smell of brown butter so much. And then I put it in the fridge to let it cool because you don't want it to be like super warm when you're mixing the dough. So I thought that it would be fun to answer a question while we're browning the butter. Our first book topic, we have film/TV adaptations right now, the amount of them, kind of thoughts on that. And I will say I have always been somebody that is so conflicted when it comes to this specific topic because I feel like right now, like in the realm of like TV and movies, I feel like there's like so many remakes happening. And so for a while, for some reason, when a book would get announced that it was an adaptation, I felt the same way that I do when you see like remakes come out where you're just like, is this really necessary? Can we just get like a different type of story? Here's kind of what I came to realize. The books you are reading are original stories, as in like it's not a remake. That was where my specific emotion was lying, where I kind of like looked at the two as one and the same, and they're just not. But I do also see just so much discussion around just the absolute amount of adaptations that you see now. And here's the thing, some of my favorite movies just period in life are adaptations of books. Hello, the Hunger Games franchise. Those movies are some of my favorite movies, period, and they are literally book adaptations. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad thing, but I think where some of it lies, I feel like I have seen an incline of books getting adapted because of the hype that is around the book community right now. Obviously, reading has always been a thing. Like whenever I say that, it sounds like reading is just trendy right now. Reading has always been a thing. I've been doing it my whole life since I've known how to read. You cannot deny that the act of reading has become very, very popularized. And that's not even necessarily a bad thing either, but I feel like these studios and companies definitely see that and they see hype that books get. So obviously they're going to understand that the probability of them being able to make money off of a certain book or franchise is very, very high. And this is also me speaking with absolutely no experience in the publishing industry or, you know, movie making business. Y'all, I'm out of breath just talking. But I will say the absolute just like influx, I don't know if that's the right word. I'm gonna let that go for just a little bit longer. But the rise in the amount of film and TV adaptations, I feel like definitely, in my opinion, is tied to the popularity of book talk and just like books in general. There's a positive and a negative with pretty much a lot of things in life, but with this one specifically is if you love a book, I feel like it's pretty much a win for the most part if you know that it's getting an adaptation because it's a new way to take in your favorite stories. I get very, very excited and there's a book that I really, really love most of the time to at least hear about the announcement of an adaptation. Then you bring in different studios and people who are making it, and you know, then things get a little bit different. But also the negative of it is it can completely like ruin a story in your head because, for example, I reread The Love Hypothesis and the casting for that literally just came out. This is the casting for Adam and Olive. I love it. I think it's great casting, but when I was rereading the book, it turned into me picturing them instead of like the own people I made up in my head, and then it turned into me reading these moments and trying to picture how it would be in a movie. The butter is browned and done. Put this in the fridge to let it cool. With that being said, I feel like that causes a difference in the story itself of like the reading experience, because obviously if you read the book before you know it's a movie, then the reading experience is like way different. At least for me it is. I don't know, but my thing is that sometimes you're just like, this adaptation just did not do this book justice. It left out so many different things. They completely missed this integral part of the story, because as a lover of books, one of the reasons you love books are in the details. And honestly, just majority of the time, adaptations just truly are not getting every single little detail, or some things are changed. It's like how I love the book Daisy Jones and the Six. I also love the adaptation of Daisy Jones and the Six. However, there are quite a bit of things that they changed in the adaptation, and while I still really love the TV show, it does annoy me with the little differences, just because I love the book so much and I loved everything about it. And maybe even sometimes the adaptation can change things in a positive way, but I feel like you just feel this like protective nature for your favorite books, that you're just like, no, I want it to be exactly the way that it is, unless there's something that you didn't like about it and then maybe the studio changes it. Who knows? But I feel like one of the examples as well of like when you've read a book versus like people who are just like seeing the movie, like one of the examples I'm going to use, The Summer I Turned Pretty and Project Hail Mary. I have not yet read Project Hail Mary, but that movie is coming out soon. But I plan on reading the book before watching the movie, because that's just the person I am. But my mom had went to the movies the other day and she sent me a picture because she watched the trailer and she's like, oh, this looks like a great movie. My experience of like reading the book and watching it versus my mom's experience of not reading the book and watching it, it's like two different things. You may have completely different opinions, because as the person with the knowledge that read the book, I just feel like you come out of that situation differently, because you know of the little tiny details in the story that may even just become like an underlying thing when it comes to the movie or TV show. And I feel like a lot of people have that discourse right now going on with The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I've seen it pretty much every season that that show has been out. But right now, at this specific time in life, season 3, the final season, is out, and obviously it's like the biggest battle of like Team Jeremiah versus Conrad. And listen, this is like the modern day, like right now equivalent of Team Edward or Team Jacob. And I feel like a lot of the things, even within just like characters, like main characters, have been missed or a little bit changed from the TV show to the book. Then you get like people getting irritated because maybe people didn't read the book. You don't have to read the book to enjoy the media either. That's not the point of this conversation. Then there are the people who have read the books that just feel fiercely protected because they know of like certain details and stuff that exist in the books, that when people who have no clue because they haven't read the book and they're just purely like, this is the show I'm watching, this is what's happening in the show I'm watching, there's always a little bit of discourse and frustration in that on both sides, because it's like, listen, I'm just watching this TV show. Maybe I don't like reading, I just want to enjoy this TV show. But then the love of a reader, that is where those adaptation things come in. And it's not saying don't adapt books, but I'm saying with the like height of adaptations, you're gonna see that a lot more, especially with how popular reading is, just like people who are just watching the show versus people who have read the book, all of that stuff. You know, the other day I logged on to Netflix and The Hunting Wives from the book. I read that book like maybe 2 years ago. I had no clue that it was getting turned into a Netflix series or a movie. I think it's a series on Netflix actually. Even that got adapted. I don't know. We're in the rise of adaptations, y'all, because I did not even know that that was getting an adaptation. I truly hope literally any of that made sense. I don't know if I was just talking in circles, but while that is cooling, I'm going to get all of the other ingredients out. I am back. I have all of the ingredients set out in front of me. So we're gonna make this batter. I have the brown butter cooled. We have a few short and sweet ones. First of all being Kindles. But first of all, we're going to do the step 1 of making this. We're trying to get another angle in here. Okay, I'm having a hard time getting this to do. We have another angle going on, so sorry for this, but in case you guys want to see some of the baking magic, I got this going on. Okay, so first we're gonna put the browned butter in there. Then I'm adding the brown sugar and the regular sugar, and then you just kind of mix those together. I feel like in multiple different stages of my life, I've had different opinions on a Kindle. None of them ever being negative, but what I mean by that is like in multiple different stages of my life, I have kind of felt differently about a Kindle. For probably the first, like I would say 2 years of me making book videos, obviously I love my Kindle. I've always loved my Kindle. There is a direct difference in how I feel about my Kindle now. The way I would describe it is it was like a casual love story between me and my Kindle. But now I take that thing with me literally everywhere. I would say 95% of the time I am reading on my Kindle. I literally take it to bed with me every single night. The Kindle that I primarily use is the Kindle Color Soft. And here's the thing. I do have multiple different Kindles, and I got them because with this being what I do for a living, thanks to you guys, I love you guys, I get a lot of questions, just as this one, kind of talking about Kindles and like opinions on it, of what the best Kindles are to get, like all of that good stuff. I feel like there's a better way to go about this. There we go. I feel like hopefully that's better. Basically, I love the Kindle Paperwhite. I had that for literal years. When did the Kindle Color Soft come out? I have had the Kindle Color Soft since it came out, and I absolutely love it. Like, I have never had any complaints with it. It is my favorite Kindle ever. Not sponsored. I just am a colorful person. I love being able to do the colored highlights. I love seeing the color covers. Like, those are just little things that mean a lot to me as a reader. I just like it. It's a really good Kindle. I actually just bought some new Kindle cases that I'm really excited to get in the mail. I think they're coming this week. What is the next step? Add the egg yolk, and vanilla. Okay, 1 large egg. 1 large egg yolk. So let me just, this is what I've always done. Just that method of this back and forth to kind of get that. Ew, I know, sorry, that looks really gross. And then we need 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I got on a Kindle, absolutely love it, need it with me literally wherever I go. I'm just one of those people that, especially where I'm at in life right now for some reason, I am primarily reading on my Kindle, but I still love to have like my physical copies with me. I'm always still buying the physical copies. I am that person. Listen, I know that there's an unpopular opinion. There were a few people that mentioned like trophies, and basically, if you guys don't know, in the book community, they will they call it a trophy when you read a book on your Kindle and then you go buy the physical copy of it. And I've just always been that person. Like, I've always wanted to collect books. Like, that is something that I collect. Like, people collect different things. So I do go and buy the physical copy of the book. Yeah, absolutely. Because I want to have it on my shelf. I want you to see that I've read the book. It's really only for books that I like. Like, it has to be at least a 3 or above for me to go and buy the physical copy of the book. One of my main goals in life is to have my own library, so that is also why I do that. And again, I'm not apologizing for it. It's what I like to do. If you don't, add in the flour, baking soda, and salt. 1 3/4 cup of flour. Being an adult is like me baking right now, and I'm sad as I'm baking because I just wiped down the counters all over again. Okay, 1 cup baking soda. Baking soda scares me. Like, it literally has, oh, I have to put this in the washer. I'm like truly being a baker right now. Wow, me and my small time romance era. I own a coffee shop. That's also a bakery. That's also a bookstore. Okay. Baking soda, 3/4 a teaspoon. 3, okay. But I was saying baking soda scares me because it just has so many different uses that I'm like, is this really healthy? And then we're gonna mix all that in. I have my KitchenAid over there because I love convenience. Like, if it's too lumpy, I will just turn the KitchenAid on and mix it together. But you don't even need it for this one. Literally, I've even watched the video for making these cookies so many times because I originally found this recipe on TikTok and then I just like downloaded the recipe, but she just uses a spatula, so you don't even need a mixer. The next topic / question was spice or no spice. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I am not a spice reader. I'm not a spice girly. I never really have been. I've said this so many times, and I'm not trying to say this in a way that devalues people that like that, because I literally don't care. If you like reading spice, that's none of my business. My thing is, with my personal taste, I just prefer a story that is more focused on the emotional connection between 2 characters. And I feel like it's just, to me at least, such a more memorable story when the 2 characters really work on this emotional connection. I also feel like if you have a story where 2 characters are really emotionally, and you can tell that they really emotionally connected, it almost makes like those scenes better and more, I don't know the word that I'm looking for. What was the book that I read recently? Cash. I recently read that book. And in my opinion, when I read that one, like books like that, I feel like it just, like, I didn't feel like the characters really were like connected on an emotional level at all, and it felt purely physical, and that's just in my personal taste not my favorite thing. And like I said, if you like that, that's completely fine. I'm not here to ruin anybody's fun, but just for me personally, I am a more like no spice in my books and stories girl. I don't need it. I really love emotional romances. Like when I even think about movies that we love, I feel like the like timeless love stories are stories like The Notebook, where you just genuinely see how deeply emotionally connected that Noah and Allie are. And even in the movie, you see like how romantically involved they are with each other, but it's just about their emotions. Like they were so connected emotionally, and that's what really changed the game for me. So this is what the dough is looking like right now. I'm going to now add in the chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chip. And honestly, I just eyeball this, okay? I'm not an overly chocolate chip cookie gal. I actually like more dough than chocolate chips. To each their own. It really depends on the baker. If you guys watched a few months ago, back in April, me and my family went to Disney, and we literally, if you guys don't know anything about Disney, Gideon's is a cookie shop that is in Disney Springs. Disney Springs. Gideon's is like this cookie shop. I'll put up some pictures and stuff of like what this is. So many times you walk, like you're just walking around and there is a line wrapped around for this cookie shop. Like it is the cookie shop to go to. One night we were there and there was literally no line to get in. Like we just walked straight in. So we were like, we have to. There's no line. It almost feels meant to be. None of us liked the cookies because they were just like, this is a Gideon cookie. So like if you are a chocolate chip in your cookie person, try to go to Gideon's in your life, or there are recipes for you to be able to make those cookies yourself if you want to try that out. We went to a different cookie place while we were there, and it was called Summer House, and it's a restaurant. We also ate there one time, but they have like a separate cookie bar that you can just walk into, and those cookies were so good. And I'm just more of like a doughy cookie type of gal. Anyway, I'm gonna add just a few more. Also, I plan on dropping off these cookies to my family because they really love these. I want to give them a little pick-me-up treat for the week. Now that we have that all together, and honestly, this is the best that this dough has ever looked, and I just realized that it's because I didn't use my KitchenAid. I'm not even joking, you guys. Like that looks the best that I've ever got it to look. I basically scoop out the dough with one of these. I put them on a plate, and then I put them in the freezer for an hour, and then I bake them in the oven. So I'm about to scoop all of these out, and then I'm gonna let them chill for an hour. And what I'm gonna do in that hour is I am going to take a shower. This is the part of the night where maybe we've been out all day. Maybe we've been out at the pool all day. We've been running some errands. We've been doing whatever it is that we've been doing. And now everybody's like, I need to take a shower. I called dibs on the shower. Okay, well, I'm next. And then we get all cozy for the night. We get into some pajamas. That is what I'm going to do. I'll see you guys when I'm out of the shower. Okay, guys, I am out of the shower. Everything is marinating. I did my face wash, skincare. If you hear a dog barking, that is my dog. The chocolate chip cookies are still in the freezer, and before we take those out, we're gonna preheat the oven, and we are going to make the sugar sprinkle cookies and answer some more bookish topics. The thing about these sugar cookies is they are so simple and easy to make. Step one, as always, wash hands. I'm pretty sure with this one, I always use my KitchenAid. I haven't made these cookies since the holidays. I haven't done any baking since then because, you know, I was massively depressed. Next, this is kind of a topic, kind of an unpopular opinion. Get rid of sprayed edges on everything. I agree with you, okay? I recently just talked about this in my book shopping video that I did. In that book shopping video, I was talking about how I was extremely frustrated with, okay, extremely frustrated is dramatic. I was not extremely frustrated. Okay, so we've got the softened butter here. Here's the thing. A few years ago, I remember when sprayed edges were something that I really only saw with other companies making them, like small businesses that was their whole entire thing, was like on Etsy or their own website, and it was them making books with sprayed edges. And now all of a sudden you go into Barnes and Noble and there are like 50 different editions with different sprayed edges exclusive to one store, and it is very defeating because also just one, it's overdone. I feel like it loses the special touch that they originally had when you would like want to buy sprayed edges editions. One, I like them because they were from small businesses and I know how much work like they were putting into them. But when you go to Barnes and Noble and literally you see so many different copies of books with sprayed edges. Oh, go to Walmart to get this special copy and then go to Barnes to get this different copy. And it's like, no one's making you get all of the different copies of it. It really feeds on that consumerism that speaks to a lot of people, especially like I said, I collect books. I just like to have my physical copies, but it speaks to the consumerism of people who like to collect books, and it makes them feel like they need every single copy. And it like, I don't know, I just don't love that. And there's another book topic that we'll be talking about that kind of feels the same way for me. But first and foremost, we have the butter, brown sugar, white sugar, and I'm gonna go mix this really quick. We now have this all mixed up. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this doesn't make like a lot amount of like actual cookies, but it's because they like spread so big in the oven. What was I saying? Where did I leave off on that thought train that I had going on? Also, let me know, do you guys throw away your eggs or do you guys put the cracked ones back in the carton? Because I put them back in the carton. But as I was saying, I forgot what I was saying though. What was I saying? See, this is where I wish you guys were here, just period. But if you guys were here with me, this conversation would keep flowing because I would remember what the hell I'm talking about. This recipe calls for a lot less vanilla. The other recipe was 1 tablespoon, but I always add just a little bit of extra vanilla. Okay, then we mix that. Y'all, I don't know. We have a little bit of a problem. These two tools are stuck together. But anyway, as I try to get these unstuck, my problem really with the sprayed edges on everything is I just feel like, it's like I said, I feel like it feeds on consumerism, especially with like big companies. It loses the whole entire reason why people liked them in the first place, and it was because it was rare. And it was like, you didn't see them that much. And so when you did, you were like, oh wow. And you could tell like there was a lot of effort put in. For me, like I said, I just like buying from like the small businesses and stuff that you would see do it. And that's not saying that effort is not put into the design, because I know that there is somebody who it's their job to design these things. I guess just what I'm saying is it just feels overdone. It doesn't feel like it's very thoughtful in nature to me at all. And I just don't like the sprayed edges on everything, especially paperbacks. Okay, now I think we're adding the flour and everything. To the next question. I keep calling them questions, I mean topics. Oversaturation of romance books / tropes leading to poor quality books and book slumps. I have been thinking about this recently, and let me tell you guys, I'm not going to say that's a direct correlation, but I do feel like, if you guys have heard me speak recently, I said, and I recently did an unhaul where I even got rid of quite a few romance books, and I said like, even if you look on my physical TBR, I might have some of the least amount of romance books. And if you would have told me that a year to 2 years ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? But here's the thing. As books have gotten more popular, it's really hard also to talk about this because I never want to speak down on authors and the craft of writing because it's very hard, okay? Little fun fact about me, and I have said this to so many close people in my life, is that when I was in high school, I used to try to write books. Like I would just like do it in a Word document. And I'm being so for real when I say like I was trying to write books. And I always told my friends and family that if I ever like was able to finally like fully finish a book, I would never write it under my actual name. It would be under an alias. It would never be public information. That was before I was even like really doing YouTube videos and everything. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, so I understand, but I'm saying as somebody who has like tried to venture down that road before, I just couldn't even imagine like actually sitting down and trying to do it and put yourself out there. Like that's very scary. So it's also can feel very defeating if somebody wants to like talk on the writing process and everything. But I'm just saying a trend that I've seen as a reader is that it feels like as books have gotten popular, tropes have gotten popular, and tropes have always existed somewhat, even without really like knowing that. You can kind of point to a lot of different stories and stuff through history and you will find a trope within it. The difference is they aren't writing it for the trope, it just happened to fall into the story. I just realized that I cannot make these cookies because I do not have baking powder. I cannot continue with these sugar cookies because I don't have baking powder. We are moving on from that, Elle. Time to put the cookies in the oven. This is what the cookie dough looks like. I feel like it's really important to chill them for at least an hour because then it like gets all of the dough together. I'm gonna put them all on this baking cookie sheet. And basically you put these in at 350 for 12 to 13 minutes. Kind of do it to your liking, however you like your cookies made. What I was saying was that the difference now is I feel like authors are writing to match tropes that they think are popular or that will make for like a scene or something that will make somebody post a TikTok of that certain scene. Like, you know, when people post like a scene, like quotes and stuff that happened in a book, and I feel like authors see that and they see that it goes viral and then it's like a marketing tactic. And so I don't know, like when I read these books, it doesn't feel like you wrote a story and then the trope was kind of found within itself within the story. It feels like it's like, what are the most popular tropes circulating around TikTok? Okay, this is really popular, so I'm going to write a book that fits that. And this isn't new authors. I'm seeing this with authors that I've even read, and I've read so many books from them, but all of a sudden the shift, even like within the past year that I've seen, even just like in the quality, and I feel like even that, the quality of books that you're seeing, because I just feel like everything is so rushed now. There's so much pressure to be putting out books because I just feel like people's attention spans as well are so short. So then you have this, I assume, kind of type of anxiety as an author that if you're not putting out enough books to stay like relevant, then, you know, people are going to lose interest. And like I said, this is literally just me like having a educated guess on what goes on the mind of authors. I don't know anything, but I will definitely say that with the rise of romance books, especially in the past like year to year and a half, I've definitely seen quality and just the way it feels like we're like the stories kind of going about being written is definitely different. Like I feel like you can definitely tell a major difference in it. Even just picking up books from like a few years ago or something, I don't know, like it all just feels very different. And I can definitely say, and I'm not saying like book talk is bad and all of this is because of book talk, it's book talk's fault. I'm just saying, like when you really think about it, it's almost like, yeah, okay. Like, it's almost like, what did anybody expect? This is so popular. Social media is just such this, like, big thing nowadays that speaks to so many different products and consumerism that when it comes to things like writing, if you feel like you can use it as a marketing tool, but I feel like there's a difference between that, though. Like, I feel like there's a difference between using it as a tool to help get your book out there versus using, like, algorithms and trends. And that's the thing, is when you think about it, a lot of these tropes and stuff that are popular right now kind of give the vibe of like when something's trendy. I don't know if I am being articulate enough with my thoughts. Not saying like they're so profound, but I'm saying I'm just very like, I feel like not well spoken. It's scary because I'm like, am I getting my point across or do I just sound stupid? We're gonna put these in the oven for the next 12 to 13 minutes. Basically, what I am saying is that I can definitely see this, and I do feel like it is attributing to book slumps because I almost feel like also it causes confusion in your own book taste. And what I mean by that is because if quality of books are going down in books that you have been reading, like your whole entire reading career is kind of how I'm going to put it, like your life as a reader, if you have been loving like romance books and everything like that, and then all of a sudden the quality of them are going down, so obviously you are not finding yourself enjoying them like you used to, you're going to feel slumpy. And when it doesn't feel like a good quality book, you're going to be so confused as to why you are not liking any of the books you're reading and not feeling motivated to read, when really if you look to the root of the issue with some of it, it's because these books just aren't the best quality books. And I'm not saying every book that is being published right now is low quality, because also it's so hard. There is a very clear way if you're going to say, oh yeah, this book is just, I even just don't want to use the term low quality, but if it's like, hey, there's so many like punctuation, grammatical, writing errors that just like slip through the cracks, low quality because it feels like it didn't go through an editing process. Someone can think a book is low quality and then another person can love it. Like it doesn't, it's just hard because a lot of it also just feels opinion based. I do feel like there is just an overall quality difference that you do see in publishing. And I do feel like it'll lead to book slumps because you just don't understand why you don't feel like reading. And it's like when every new release just feels kind of rushed, how are you going to feel? We're gonna let those cool. Our next topic is hobbies that go well with reading. Now, the way that I am thinking about this are hobbies that kind of pair with reading, and then hobbies that you can do while like listening to an audiobook. Hobbies that I feel like pair well with reading: journaling, like doing a reading journal, however that looks for you. If it's more of like a format where you literally just like write down the book, write down the rating, write down the thought, or if you want to make it a little bit more artistic and you want to, you know, print stuff out, get pictures, make them look aesthetic. Like I feel like journaling in that way pairs really well, and I feel like it's a nice way, especially if you kind of want to go more of the like artistic extra, let's just call it what it is. It's a little extra side. I feel like it helps you kind of get that artistic vibe out. Now, I feel like there are a lot of hobbies that go well with like listening to an audiobook, and I like doing these hobbies while listening to an audiobook because sometimes it feels good to feel like you're doing two things at once. First and foremost, cuddling in to the couch, throwing on my headphones and playing a game. This is my Nintendo Switch. This is the Nintendo Switch OLED. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've been getting the Nintendo Switch 2 FOMO, and I'm like that episode of SpongeBob where he's like convincing himself that he doesn't need the water. He's like looking into Sandy's, looking out or looking in, is it both? In like Sandy's little dome, and he's like, I need it. Like, you know, like the whole episode is him like convincing himself that he doesn't need it. That's me every day with a Nintendo Switch 2. This is the one that I have. Works perfectly well. I pretty much just have always like exclusively played Animal Crossing. We are on year 5 of Animal Crossing being out with no future like updates in the horizon, no new game that has really been discussed. My island on here is like almost finished, and I just want to tell you guys, I'm not one of those people that loves to just like restart islands and restart islands. I love to like dedicate my craft and then play on my island. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with my Animal Crossing island. It's a fall themed one, and I pretty much have a lot of the areas tailored to exactly what I want my island to look like. There's so few little spaces and spots. Animal Crossing is just such a cozy game. If you guys have never played any of the Animal Crossing games before, obviously this is like the most modern piece of like gaming console to go with the Animal Crossing game. Literally all you do is you go onto this like deserted island and you build it from the ground up, and it's like very low stakes. There's no like storyline. You just collect these villagers and basically do what Tom Nook tells you until like a certain point. And you just make this island like any way you want. You can go on Pinterest and find there's like so many different themes. People do like cottagecore, or they maybe design it after like a specific city. People get so creative on there. And that's what I love about Animal Crossing, is that it's cozy, it's stress-free, and I feel like it helps you kind of flex that creative muscle a little bit by making these little spaces, and it's so cute. And talking to these villagers is just such a good time. And also, when Hello Kitty Island Adventure came out, I did download that one and I had such a good time with that one. It's also one that you can get on your phone. Like, I think it was originally an Apple Arcade game, so you can get it on your phone if you don't have a Switch. That's one that you can actually play like on your phone or iPad, whatever it may be. I also have a few games that I'm getting into. First of all, Lake. This is one where you basically are like a postal worker. You left your like big city job to go to this small town and deliver mail. And it just, again, seems like one of those just like cozy, stress-free games, and that's my genre. Something else that I also do is I like to go on long walks and listen to audiobooks. I feel like I either like listening to podcasts or audiobooks on walks, but it just helps you get active and it makes you feel productive because you're like, I'm walking, I'm listening to my audiobook, I'm having a good time. Another one that I don't do as often, but I could definitely get into, every single time I've ever built Legos, or a lot of people also do puzzles. I'm just a Lego person over a puzzles person, but you can be either or. But I feel like my one that I do the absolute most is I color while listening to audiobook. This is my little bin of coloring books that I have. I'll show you guys just some of my favorite ones that I have. Okay, I feel like this brand is pretty popular on Amazon. Like, if you look up like aesthetic coloring book, you're gonna see a lot of these. And honestly, it's very cute. This was like some of the first coloring books that I got, and I just find the little creatures just so cute in the little settings. Like, it's just so cozy and cute, and because of how much I love looking at it and coloring it in, it just gives me so much serotonin. I have quite a bit of them. This one's like the little corner has basically just a bunch of different like little spaces that you can color, and it's so cute. The other day I was coloring in a coffee shop. I have just a bunch of them, different themes, like more cozy. This one is strictly fall, as well as this one. I think this one's more of like a winter themed one. And then I also have this one where it's like a person, so you're coloring in like an actual person. This one's like couples, I think, like it's like little cute like romantic vibes. And then this one's like a Valentine's Day themed one. They're all very cute. Like I said, you can find those on Amazon. I actually ordered all of those because every single time that I tried to get a Bobby Goods coloring book, they were always sold out. But then I eventually was able to get my hand on these three, which at the time when I bought them, I don't know if they have released more, but at the time when I bought them, these, I think there was maybe one other one that they had on their website. But this one I think is the, like, is it kind of summer one? This is like the day to night one, and then this is like the winter one. I feel like they definitely kind of paved the way for like this style like coloring book, and it's definitely my favorite. Like, these are my favorite coloring books. I absolutely love those, and I love matching them with the season. Like right now, my fall ones I'm very, very excited for, and that is definitely my favorite audiobook activity and like reading activities. But those are all of the kind of hobbies that I do. I have friends who also like knit or crochet, which is a really big and popular one as well. I don't have the patience for that though. We're now in my room. We're kind of winding down for the night. We're getting ready to end things. It's so bright outside. Y'all, I promise you, it is literally 8:00 p.m. This is like getting close to my bedtime. Fun little brief intermission and a little callback to the beginning of this video when I went to Ulta and I didn't record anything because there were so many people in there. Here's a little haul. These two products are the entire reason that I had to go to Ulta, because I had to get a restock on them. It's my face wash and my other like pre-cleanse face wash. Literally, this is called Pre-Cleanse by Dermalogica. These got me right when I walked in. My little cousin loves Hello Kitty, so I got her one of these so that she can attach it to her backpack for the school year. My mom loves Disney, so I got one of these for her to keep in her purse. I've also been on the lookout for a good lip tint, so I wanted to try this one by Tarte. It is the Maracuja one. I think this is in, oh my gosh, yeah, it's in collaboration with Dunkin'. It's the Ice Pop. This is the brand of press-on nails that I use, and I got these that are just like a pale yellow color. These I know will do together. I got some Mighty Patch. It says for tired eyes. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I thought it would be fun for us to do a little face mask together and kind of have that moment. However, I'm going to be honest, I'm very, very scared of face masks because I feel like they will really break me out. So I thought that these under eye patches were just the way to go. Okay, we have to take my glasses off for this one. Wow, that just really changed things for me. I cannot see. Okay, so we're gonna get one of these packs out. I'm gonna be honest, I'm like, do these really do anything? Or is this one of those things that people just do because they think it looks like aesthetic and cute? The perfect pick-me-up for tired eyes. Well, I'll tell you this, I am constantly tired. And while I put these on, I am going to talk about, I was asked, Boys of Tommen new covers and thoughts. So if you guys don't know, basically, if I were to look at my bookshelves right now, I have 3 different copies of the series of Boys of Tommen. Basically, why I have that many covers is because when I first read Boys of Tommen, they had like the original covers. And then I remember I don't know what people call them, but I'm gonna try to find a picture and put them up here. So then I got those covers because I thought either they were like this special edition or this was like the new, or it was like the new version of them that were coming out. That wasn't the new version, and then they got traditionally published by Bloom. So then Bloom changed the covers. They did the ombre spines like for like a little bit after the book like first releases, they have ombre spines. And then the other day, because one of the biggest things, this is kind of how I thought they were saying it, and this is all on Bloom, by the way, this is like Bloom making these decisions. The way they were saying it is because one of the biggest things I feel like is said about the Boys of Tommen series, because whenever it got traditionally published by Bloom, they made it a young adult series, as in like it is put in the young adult section. I remember being super confused by this because there are very graphic details in literally all of these books, and I just feel like they're very, very adult. But then the hard thing about it was that they are young adults like in the series. So here's the thing, so that happens, they make it young adult. I was always like, I just feel like it's way too graphic to be a young adult series. Like I never agreed with it being like sold in the young adult department in the bookstores. And so basically, from what I understand, Bloom was like, okay, we'll make it adult. And now, for like the 4th time, we are completely changing the covers. Now the covers are like white with different spines. So now they're changing from what I understand, that's why people are talking about it, is because they're now changing the covers, and like now the black covers that they are now, now they're white, and it's like completely a different look. It is annoying. Like it is very, very frustrating to change the covers. This is the like 4th time. Or I don't know if the one covers that I'm talking about that I have, I don't know if those were going to be the new covers. It kind of felt like it, but then it could have been like special editions. But it is the 4th edition of the series that has came out, and it's just a thing that readers like to have like matching covers, and it just, I don't know, keep changing the covers in the middle of the series because like people have no choice. And it's like even little things like just like height differences as things get published differently are annoying, like as a reader, and just like as somebody who is spending money on these things, it's annoying. I am also annoyed by that situation because I'm just like, why are we doing this? I also got this topic of why books aren't hitting the same lately, and I feel like I already answered this, but I'm just gonna kind of say it again. I feel like it's because of the quality of books and just like the rushed nature of them that are coming out. But also I feel like a big thing is like social media and like opinions on books sometimes, because like you can be very excited about a book, or like there's a lot of excitement around it, and then the discourse about a book, which is normal, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It reminds me of, I saw a video the other day of somebody said that like social media isn't fun anymore, and it reminds me of that in the reading community just a little bit. And I'm not like putting it on everything and being like, oh yeah, everything is like that, but I feel like it speaks to just like the quality of books that are coming out, but also the behavior around books and like everything like that are coming out. Thoughts on audiobooks. I love audiobooks. I feel like it's also a really nice way to get reading in like while you're doing other things, and I feel like people live like busy lives. Not to also speak on the fact for some people that is the only way that they can read books, or it's the most accessible way for them to read books, but also there's so many people, it's like you're living a busy life and you feel good about like listening to an audiobook and that you read a book. And the people that are like, audiobooks aren't reading, listen, if you just looked at me and you were like, I read Emily Henry's Happy Place, I'd be like, oh yeah, and we could have a conversation about the book, and you don't even have to tell me that you actually like listened to the audiobook, because you got the same story that I did, and we're talking about it, we're having a conversation. And guess what, I never ask somebody when they tell me, oh, I read that book, well, I never look at them and go, well, did you audiobook it or did you physically read it? Like, I don't care when people are like so just like, audiobooks aren't reading. I'm like, we're just doing it. I don't care. At the end of the day, I view audiobooks as reading. Good morning, everybody. It's that phase of the sleepover where we're all waking up in the morning and we're kind of thinking about everything we did last night. I don't know. This is my experience with sleepovers, but you know what? It's either late at night or when you wake up in the morning that you just have these conversations where you're just like, maybe we have had a breakthrough. So I thought we could talk about one last book topic before we leave each other. And this one is an interesting one that I had seen multiple different times, and that is effects of social media on the book community. And this one's a pretty broad one, I feel like. The effects of social media on the book community, there are so many of them, some positive, some negative. That's just kind of what comes with the territory when it comes with just where we're at with social media nowadays. Obviously, I love social media for the book community because one, it like in that term itself, book community, it has brought a community for so many different people. There are so many different corners of the internet, even just within the book community, for everybody, whether you like more like fantasy or horror or thriller or romance or fiction, classics, like whatever you're into. Honestly, there is a niche kind of set of that community for you. I feel like sometimes that's not talked about enough, because obviously there are like the popular, I'm gonna say niches of like maybe people and like books and things that you see on like the book community part of social media. But the truth of the matter is, I've even went and found these other little like niche parts of the community. The amount of times that I've used that word, I'm just saying it to mean like when you are looking into a specific genre, like whenever I try to find like horror books, there's a whole entire community of people that's literally all of the books that they read and they post about and they are very passionate about talking about. I get a lot of just like literature recommendations when I go and look those up. Like, to me, that is very, very special, and I really enjoy that aspect of social media with the book community, because I feel like it just makes diversifying your book taste so accessible and less intimidating. And especially when you see this sense of community and people having discussions and things about it, a respectful manner, which is not what you get all the time on social media. But it's just, it makes you feel better getting into something when you see a community behind it. Even if you aren't like commenting and like going and actually like interacting, there are just like so many videos and stuff for you to intake to kind of like see what other people are thinking on their opinions about different things. When book talk and kind of even, I feel like it got booktube kind of even more popular, because booktube's always been there, I just didn't know about it, honestly. When the rise of book talk and then booktube came, it was something I was really happy about and still am to this day, obviously, because it brought me all of you guys. But I have been somebody that grew up and nobody around me really read books. I had nobody to talk to about them. So that's why I love just going online and sharing my opinion and people and just like what I thought about a book, and then like seeing if other people feel the same way. I feel like the negative side of this is just as book talk in specific, and I don't like saying that, but I do feel like I see a distinct difference on different platforms. Like I see a distinct difference in posting on YouTube versus posting on TikTok, and I really don't know why that is. And I'm not saying book talk as a whole, because again, like I said, I feel like it's just almost unfair to be like book talk as a whole, because I literally just spent time talking about how I feel like there's so many different niches and different spots of the book community on the internet that just, it's not toxic and it's not, you know, scary to post. But I do feel like in a way some areas of book talk have turned into that, and I don't even know if I just want to say book talk period. I just feel like sometimes, no, I feel like all the time TikTok is just kind of like a very toxic space. Not every single person is commenting something negative, but I've said this before where I feel like any video that I see on TikTok, if you open up the comment section, there are just people who are finding something wrong about every single video. And lately on book talk, it just feels the same way, where it feels like if you share an opinion, even just being like, oh yeah, I didn't really like this book, it's like there's a rampage in the comments because you're like, oh, but that's unfair to like post a negative review. Like I've seen that narrative go on, and I feel like there's definitely a fine line of being like just saying that you didn't like a book and like trashing like an author or whatever for no apparent reason. But if somebody's just like making a negative review, like there's nothing wrong with it. They're entitled to their own opinion of not liking a book. I am somebody who has always tried to be very authentic in my opinions of books, you know, but I just feel like right now, because personally, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do not go on TikTok. I don't really participate in that because I did see just a rise in toxicity on there that I just don't see here on YouTube. And honestly, I've just always felt a lot more safe in the community posting on YouTube. I don't know, it just maybe because it just feels a lot more laid back. I don't know, but on TikTok, it just seems a lot more scary. And you guys know, if you watch my videos, I always float the idea of like, I want to make more short form content, and honestly, it's just very scary. Like genuinely, the thought of that is kind of scary to me, to kind of like open yourself up to that side of the internet, because it just does, I don't know where the separation is between book talk and booktube, and why when you go on the two platforms, I feel like it is just such a distinct difference. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on that, what you think, because I do see it. And again, that's not to say there are amazing creators on TikTok that I enjoy a lot of their content. I feel like, obviously, I'm not saying every single thing that goes on there is like, oh, everybody's just wrong and negative all the time, but I'm just saying it feels a lot more negative and overwhelming there, which is sad, because I do feel like in the 2019-2020 like rise of book talk era, it got a lot of people into reading, and it really built up the community and showed people like the joys and escapism that comes with reading. Like I feel like people who may not have just like organically, I want to say, in their life like a reader in that way, that like, you know how I've talked about my reading experience of how it was basically just like when I learned to read, I've always been into it. I've always been into stories. I've always been a very imaginative, disassociative person, you know, like I've always loved it. Just, I'm like straight up disassociating. Even from a kid, I would read like my favorite stories, and then I would want to like act them out in my room of like my favorite books. Or I would literally sit there and just think about my favorite books all of the time. So for people who just honestly, because you know, I feel like it's like you either do or you don't. Like you just either organically, and I'm saying organically, like, you know, you read in school and it kind of is deeper and it follows you through your life, or you were just somebody who wasn't as into that, and that's fine. And that doesn't mean that now you picking up a book makes you less of a reader than somebody who's been doing it their whole entire life. But I'm saying I feel like the rise of book talk, and then kind of like booktube rising with that, did help show a lot of people the positives in picking up a book, and kind of also just having such a big community of people who also have opinions. I just do feel like reinforces that positive feeling with reading, because I guess when I think about it, like again, people who, or you may have been a reader and then you kind of didn't read and then you picked it back up. It's just nice to see that there's like a lot of people talking about a certain book, because especially if you are like trying to get into it and maybe nobody else around you is reading, it's nice to be able to look and see, oh, well, this is popular and there's like a lot of people who have videos and have talked about these books. So I can kind of feel seen within this community of people who are making videos about it. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's definitely a lot of effects. I just feel like there's just effects of the rise of social media, period, on society as a whole and kind of behaviors that come out of that. And I feel like that's going to translate to any community. It's not just specifically within the book community. It's just like what that behavior now kind of looks like within the book community. I love the book community. It's brought me you guys and it lets me talk about what I am passionate about all of the time. There are negatives that come with it. There are very mean people out there that I have encountered. I just feel like that comes with every single part of the internet. Like there are people who are just going to do things like that. But I feel like there are a lot more positive people and people who tune in and people who want to hear you talk about books or share their opinions or just find it interesting to hear about. That's kind of where I'm at. I feel like the just effects of social media are changing a lot of things, and for right now I'm just kind of sticking to my corner of the internet and not putting a whole lot of energy into negativity. Listen, I don't know if literally any of what I said in this video made an ounce of sense. I don't know. Sometimes my brain, like the way I just will ramble on about a subject, especially if it is in this manner. And what I mean by that is like if there's nobody else like talking with me to kind of like butt in and maybe like make a point or like ask a question in real time, it's kind of hard to keep track of my train of thought a little bit. So I hope I was able to at least keep the trains on the tracks a little bit of the thought process of answering these. And I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of this video. I know it was a little bit different. I've been trying to test out kind of like different video formats and ideas and stuff because I'm in a huge book slump right now and I really don't want to force anything because I feel like nothing good comes out of like forcing yourself to read, because one, it takes the entire point of it out of the equation. Like the whole entire point of me reading and talking about it on the internet is because it's just organically what I do. And I feel like with my job sometimes I forget that, where I'm like, I need to make this video and I need to make that video, and it's like, just organically read, you know, just organically read and talk about the books you're reading, because that's what I did at the start. Like it was just me reading the books that I wanted to read. So I have to get to the root of that issue, really. I do, of where this book slump is coming from. But my point is, I don't want to force it and then like make videos where books are like lowly rated because I am trying to force myself to read when that's just like not what's happening right now. So I'm trying to figure out other videos for you guys to enjoy. So hopefully you got some enjoyment out of this one. And if you did, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys know how to do. And I will see you when I see you. Peace.